What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today's a good day. Today's a fantastic day, and it's not the Halo news. We can talk about that another time. Yeah, Bonnie Ross leaving 3 for 3. That's a whole different thing. But today I'm going to choose to talk about something I'm genuinely over the moon about, and that is we won. I'm just going to cut to the chase. We won. We got new Tron content coming, a new Tron video game. And I quickly want to say that this is not the open world adventure game that was rumored. So maybe next year we even get more Tron, you know what I'm saying? But let's talk about that a little bit later in the video. For right now, let's talk about Tron Identity. Oh man. Let's just talk about it. Let's get into it. All right, so Tron Identity, boys and girls. It's a new game coming from Bithell, developer I'm not super familiar with, so I'm gonna have to check out some. Let's actually check out some of their games in real time. Let's see what they've done. Solitaire Conspiracy, John Wick Hex. That's a game I was very interested in, actually. Which, when it came out, I was like, wow, that UI and that like design, that user interface was, and the user experience, I should say, was definitely Tron-like. So they haven't done a lot of new game, a lot of games on. Oh, they did Thomas Was Alone. Okay, all right. I know Thomas Was Alone. All right, but they've specialized in small scale games for sure. I haven't played any of these. Volume. Okay. Oh, okay. So this already probably, this aesthetic probably got Disney to take a look at them. Who knows? Maybe it was the other way around. Maybe. Dude, that looks very Tron-like. So maybe Bithell went to Disney and was like, yo, we already kind of love this. Oh, what's the Mandalorian doing? What's the Mandalorian doing? But anyway, so yeah, so it looks like they kind of have that aesthetic on lock already. So let's get back to Tron Identity here. So right here it says something has been taken. Enter a new grid and forge alliances via visual novel gameplay. Uncovering truths through identity disc puzzles, make critical decisions, and plot your own course in a world without a creator. Okay. So, right away, the world without a creator tells me that this is happening after Tron Legacy. Or, it tells me it's in that brief period, those brief periods of time, or that brief period of time, I should say, after the ISOs were taken out, after Clue rose to power. Because in Tron Uprising, the TV show, if you'll remember, which also, if you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. And we're probably going to reference this show again, because I want to talk about something else with this show when it pertains to this game. This show takes place in that weird time where Kevin Flynn was kind of like, okay, yeah, he was around. Most people remember him, but Clue's definitely taken over, right? You should definitely watch Tron Uprising. Anyways. So let's get into it. Visual novel, not a genre I would have picked first for Tron. I'm going to be honest. However, I think that it is showcasing, first and foremost, what they're trying to do is they're trying to showcase Tron's visual art style, and that's trying to be first and foremost. So maybe they'll change my mind. Maybe they'll say, no, Tron as a visual experience is kind of why you like Tron in the first place. So maybe the focus being on a visual novel will be great. The other reason I want to talk about, and we're going to get into all these screenshots in the video, but the other thing I want to talk about as we're scanning back and forth is the art style. Very Tron Legacy or Tron Uprising. It's not just simple lines. There's panels of light on them. While panels on the ground like this would be something you'd see in Legacy, but like actual big blocks of light on a person's body, more stylistic clothing. Not just the suits that you're used to seeing in Tron Legacy. Actual fashion, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And not just streams of light, but actual like panels and parts of their clothing that is just straight light. That is something that you see a lot in Tron Uprising. And not to mention not just the blues, not the blues and the yellows and a little bit of red from the Blackguard and stuff, but in Tron Uprising, you see a lot of different color. It's not just white, it's greens, and not just blues. It's more pink and more of like a neon, well, everything's neon, but you know what I'm saying, like a different green than. Here, this is a great showcase. This picture right here. Let's see if I can get my face out of the way though. Right there. I'm gonna break the limit. You're gonna see Mesh Chief, but yeah, you see the showcase of different color. That time in the grid canonically is much more free. It's not bogged down by Clue and his regime of like, you have to be this, you have to be that. So I think, going back to my original statement, I think this is either taking place right before, right after Tron Legacy, or during that time where Kevin Flynn was in hiding. I hope it's the latter, or the previous. Sorry, I hope it's latter in storyline. I hope it's after Tron Legacy, and I think the logo for Tron Identity in general here, I think that's kind of telling as to its time frame too. But maybe that's just the new logo for Tron, and that's what Disney wants. It's just because Legacy did really well for the Tron fans here. Okay. So I think personally it's after Tron Legacy. I think it's going to be a really cool time to explore, like, okay, these programs are out here. The grid is still alive, but there's no creator. There's no user, I should say. Kevin and Sam Flynn, they're not around anymore. They're not in the picture. Sam is out in the real world with Korra doing whatever they're doing. And I think that's going to be the premise of a third movie if we ever get it. Hopefully, anyway. Hopefully they don't just drop it. But yeah, so we're gonna zoom in here. We're gonna go zoomies and talk about this. So in the pictures that we're given, we see these different dialogue options as you'd expect from a visual novel. So, and that's another thing I wanted. I'm not. Maybe you guys, if you in the comment section have played a lot of visual novels, you can kind of educate me on this. But it's like an RPG, right? Like you're kind of choosing. So like I want to explore like all the different like avenues and endings and stuff like that. This game is going to be a huge time sink, and I love that. Release date's 2023, by the way, in case we didn't talk about that already. All right, but the first picture, it's a cold night in the city. Nothing new here. You pull your coat tighter, feel the heat of its glow, a small comfort against the brittle rain. Across the park stands the repository, a grand building. It stands sentinel among all surrounding it. This is architecture as a power play. A statement made in light and stone. Okay, it's a power play. It's not after Legacy. It's a Clue regime thing. He's trying to, in my opinion, unless there's like some other dude or some other person that's like coming into the picture and like trying to take over the grid. I think that line alone tells me that it's before Legacy. All right, so Grish is this character's name. Also, love the character design. Grish looks tired. It must have already been a long night. He growls. Something else that I want to draw attention to with this line in particular, you play as a detective. That's sick. I love that. Let's get back to this picture though. Grish, it wasn't my call to bring you in. I had this handled. So he must be another detective, more like a senior detective. I was about to begin my investigation. Query, investigating what? So I wonder if our program's name is Query, like a question. That would be cool. That would fit in Evolution, the game that came out right before Tron Legacy. Your character's name was Anon, trying to be anonymous. It was your program, but you know. So a new player character here. Grish, be seeing you program. Prinz chuckles. Oh, so this is Prinz, this little Fairform Sauron looking guy. I see you've been making friends. All right, so a little bit more dialogue here. Okay. This is another thing that makes me like, okay, this is very Clue-like in architecture. Like, okay, whose delusion of grandeur are we dealing with? Also, that's not the same guy, right? Yeah, this guy has darker hair. So this is someone else with the red lights. It just evokes that the black guard in Tron Legacy. Oh wait, no. Okay, so Prinz is represented. Oh, maybe it is. Maybe this color is just kind of different. I don't know. A program after my own heart. Welcome. Prinz steps in front of the desk. Okay, so either this is not someone that's in the frame, or this color is a little bit different. Maybe we can't see his hair quite well. But yeah, so Prinz is definitely this guy that looks like he's in charge of this little community thing. I'm guessing this is a chapter select is what I'm guessing, or maybe a investigation chronicle, so you can kind of go back. Okay, this sequence of events, we need to kind of review our data And with Tron being on the grid, and everybody's information is stored on an identity disk, as like right here, I feel like with the identity disk puzzles, we're going to be tapping in and diving more into that lore of Tron legacy, or of Tron, like your personality is in your identity disk. You can't lose that. And so that has everything. And so in an Uprising, it talks about tampered disks and how that's illegal, because you know they have to be able to keep track of you. That's your ID, right? It's like forging a fake ID. If you tamper with your disk, big no-no, right? So I think we're trying to recompile this. Like, let's say it's a murderer. We have no idea what the main premise is, but let's say it's a murder mystery. My guess is that somebody murdered somebody with this identity disk, and this is like missing parts, and we're trying to link everything together and try to combine all these pieces of information so we can restore this identity disk. Okay, so query. This looks like our player character. What's his name? Grizz? No, Grizz was the other guy. Oh, we're way far behind now. We're so out of order. Grish is his name. So if we're talking with Grish, this must be Grish. This must be query, our player character. I read, indeed, you're in the right place. So this is probably going to be a club owner, much like Zeus. You continue walking. A bright energy field surrounds at the end. Surrounds the end of the platform. Ada notes your reaction. Okay, so you have to pay attention to different things going on. So let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's go back. Okay, so we talked about the identity disk, right? Okay, so compiling different events. Ada, I think that's the same person we were talking about earlier, right? You brought a friend, Grish. A program stands next to you, glowing white like the room around her. So this kind of looks more lavender in color, but I guess it's supposed to be white. You enjoy my garden, or maybe there's maybe this is that white player, the white light player. Sierra, he punches the field with a fist, an explosion of light and energy. Sierra, no, queer. I'm sorry, Sierra. So this must be like some sort of like, I don't know, betrayal of some kind. That's kind of hard to pick from. This character's design is my favorite. I'm just proxy. I freaking love this. I want this in my veins. If I was in the Tron universe, this is probably the mode shift, like two-tone light. This is probably the look I'd go for. And we haven't really been talking about dialogue options. Have there been any? Oh yeah, so in this picture, an intriguing detail. I've never seen anything like this before. I don't understand. This is a library. So yeah, we're gonna ask different questions, right? Okay, so and none of these really had dialogue options provided. Okay, so a playful anger crosses her eye. Do you have a name? So yeah, I'm Query. So Query is our that fits. You know, Query. We're a detective. Okay, that fits. That's our player character for sure. I don't give my personal identifier to criminals while on a case. So yeah, again, you can. This is probably going to be a little of an aggressive tactic. You're probably going to make this person upset. Oh man, I'm ready for that. Vertical slice. I don't know how that's going to come into play. All right, so an action. Oh, okay. So it'll say, I'm pointing to my screen, but do you have a name? And then you'll say something, right? But then it looks like this is the same person. So maybe a scene or two later, you might hand her something, and then it says you do. She may be right. Prinz and his staff have hardly demonstrated perfection so far, and then it happens. She moves fast, closing the gap between you and holding her disc to your neck. You feel a sizzle of it brush against you. Oh man, that's pretty cool. Okay, then you're gonna get into a fight. You're gonna get into a fight somehow. That's pretty cool. Your option is really nothing there. So you're going to hopefully maybe calm things down here. You instinctively, nope, you do not calm things down. You get into a fight. You instinctively draw your own disc, just like you were taught. You hold it millimeters from her neck. A few particles of her hair turn into light and drift from off the platform, sliced by your weapon. Your fast program, she jumps back, adopting a throwing stance. You mirror her. Okay. Stop. I don't want to fight. You're not going in there. Okay, so maybe you're trying to stop her from going into that club. I assume that club is going to be like the main like location where you're talking to the scum and villainy, I guess. Also, I'd like for you to find a better someone that cares more about this game to jump into this analysis as deep as I am. I dare you to find that person, and if you do find that person, bring them here because I want to be best friends with them. Timestamp them to this. I want to talk to this person. Anyway, getting back to it, a memory of great energy hangs in the air. The vault. What's left of it at least? Okay, so maybe it wasn't a murder. Maybe it was a theft. And okay, Uh, what's less of it is incredible. Not red light, hot red light permeates every corner, highlighting the blue cracks and damage of the explosion. The heat of that light is matched only by the cold of the wind blowing through from outside. In the place of the vault interior, is gaping around, or is the gaping wound around the blast. Excuse me. The light of the city outside is weightless. Okay, so now we're kind of looking. Okay, so let's compare this picture to this other picture. A little bit of a world. So this is probably at the beginning when we don't really have all the facts, and here we see a little bit of a progression. Okay, now things are yellow, not so red. Maybe like the colors are a little cue as to how far we're coming. We talked about this one already. Okay, so this is like the mansion or club. I'm starting to think it might be a mansion if it's owned by Ada, or maybe this is her personal residence. Ada, you've seen trees before, I imagine. Of course. Do you know what they are? It's funny because the grid doesn't know what the trees are. Cora didn't even know what Jules Verne was like. She just read Jules Verne like from the book. She thought Sam knew Jules Verne. Is that a trick question? A decoration inspired by the users? I always assumed they occurred naturally. An outcome of the grid? Interesting. Okay. Okay, so a little bit more intimidation here. So I'm starting to think Grizz is actually a partner. So he didn't want to work alone, or he wanted to work alone. Now we're brought on the case as Query. And I think Query, let's be honest, a bright white light. Our character's name is Query. I know the picture here makes it look blue, but this is a very big white. White is only used by users. So Query could be a user. Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be kind of fun? We're Query, right? Our player character is Query, so maybe that's how they represent that our person is now in the grid as a detective. Man, that's cool. Grish nods and they make their way back towards the warmth of the repository. Brins turns as he approaches the entrance. One more thing, Query. Okay, so now I'm thinking this all takes place almost in the repository, that big building. So like all this isn't... Oh no, this is the same scene. This is just in the background of this, so they must have been walking around a little bit. So this must all be the repository. They're probably not showing us a lot of areas. Okay. He charges at you, grabbing you by the neck and lifting you off your feet. He barks in your face, his light pulsing as the rage flows through him. Grish, you have destroyed this place. You have gotten people hurt. You do not get to tell me how to feel about my mood. So us and Grish kind of getting in a little bit of a skiff there, a scuttle. Query, no. From what I've heard, Prince says, from what I've heard, few do and remain functional. Ooh. What remains and what remains functional? Interesting. Okay, and a little bit more of a pathway drawn. Okay. And then if you didn't see the trailer, it's just an identity disc kind of illuminating. So I'm going to let that play as I wrap up here. Guys, I am super excited about this game. It comes out next year. Bithlo Games. Don't let me down. The music also. I'm going to play the music here. They captured the Daft Punk Tron aesthetic and vibe really well with the music. Yeah. I'm very happy with that. Uprising did a great job at capturing that legacy music as well. Daft Punk is goated for that, let's be honest. All right, guys. But that's it for me today, guys. Are you excited for Tron Identity? And if you're not, why are you so bad? Like, why are you messed up in the head? You know, I'm excited, and I think you should be too. All right, guys. But that's it for me today. Let me know what you think about Tron Identity in the comment section down below. Thank you to all our Patreons. Really appreciate the continued support on the channel, especially Mr. Pleb at our ISO tier member. And I think this is just great. I think this might be my way to finally become the Tron YouTuber I've always wanted to be. If Tron finally comes back in the limelight. Move over, Halo Infinite. We got a new king in town for Kyle. I think that's great. Yeah. And I say that because my whole channel's identity is based off of Tron, really. Like, I love Halo, but even my Patreon members, they're assigned in tiers of Tron lingo. And I just think that's really cool. My channel's aesthetic, if you've been paying attention, all around me, it's Tron. And this is just such a good day. Man, I wish I could talk about this sooner, but here we are now, guys. A full in-depth discussion. And until next time, friends, I'll see you online. Man, I haven't signed out in a while. Bye, guys.